Jai Gurudev, welcome to Sattva Talks, everyone. I'm Reena, your host from New Zealand. And before we begin some beautiful Guru stories and I introduce our lovely guest speaker, I would like to share a wee observation I have made in my day-to-day life and my friends and family, right? So, whenever there's an invitation of any party or it could be any event, we tend to go shopping. We're like, what am I gonna wear? And this I've noticed in male and female, okay? It's just not a female thing, FYI. And we are like, okay, we'll spend days to go to the mall. I'm like, how is this gonna look, etc., etc. And we might not be able to find, at least with me, 99% of time I'm unable to find what I really want, fitting wise and look wise for that particular occasion. And I end up finding something from my own closet. And I actually love it. It's not a compromise that, oh my God, I didn't find anything. So basically, all these days I have been looking for and I've been searching for something I already have in my closet. So why was I looking? So on that note, I would like to introduce today's topic and our lovely guest. So Oliver Larsen is his name. He is from New Zealand, same as where I am from. And he's a physiotherapist by profession. He is also an art of living faculty. He teaches happiness course. And along with that, he is also a yoga practitioner. Yeah. So this little situation I shared with you, it actually resembles with Oliver's life. Um, he is quite passionate about mental health, success, and lots of other things. And in order to achieve that, he tried multiple things. Like he has, experienced lots of things. And through the chase, after 9 years, he may correct me when he comes on the screen. But yeah, after 9 years, he um, determined that it was all within him. It was the happiness course. So that's where our topic is related today. Everything he was searching for ended with art of living. Yeah. So yeah, I would like to welcome Oliver. Thank you so much, Oliver, for making the time and coming and joining us. I'm very grateful to have you and very honored. Yeah, please tell us, how did it all begin? How did your art of living journey begin? And all the trial and errors and your beautiful stories. Can't wait. Over to you, Oliver.
Thanks for the amazing introduction, Rena. And yes, pleasure to be here. And yeah, honored that you guys want to share my story. I think everyone's got their own individual art of living story, and they're all such different stories. So yeah, I think it's I feel very blessed to be able to share this with everyone who listens and with you. So
Thank you.
yeah, how did it all begin? Well, a few years before I got involved with Art of Living, probably about 2 or 3 years before I got involved with Art of Living, I discovered this massive industry called personal development. And I really resonated with it because I had some problems in my life for the years before that. And what the personal development industry allowed me to find and access was solutions to that I could fix within myself. It was just a change within me that needed to occur, and I could do that myself. I didn't need to pay someone to do that. I didn't need to go and do something to do it. I actually just needed to shift what was happening internally. And that gave me a huge amount of power. And so I decided to go down that route and yeah, invested in a couple of courses, online courses, watched a lot of online content, and started making some really amazing changes in my life. And the point at which the art of living came along is I decided to start some personal development coaching one-on-one with a coach. And he decided, well, he told me that I must do this course. It's just a wonderful course, and every successful entrepreneur must do this course. And that's what I wanted to be as well. And so, yeah, at the beginning, I thought it was a course that I should do so that I can become a successful entrepreneur. And after some time, I started going to some satsangs. And he invited me to satsangs while, I'd already registered for the course, but I started going to some satsangs in the meantime. And it became quite clear to me that this was something a little different than just a standard personal development program. And yeah, I went and did my course and grateful that my mum Marie is here today because she was actually on that first course with me as well. It was an Apex course. And we've actually done quite a few courses together now. It's been not quite 9 years. It's been, yeah, 8.5 years. I'm in my ninth year now. And it's been a journey, done many, many courses. And that's how it all began.
Thing. And how did the thought of becoming a teacher develop? Where did that stem from? Because you were getting what you wanted, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, so interesting you asked that question. So I did my first happiness program in July 2017. Well, that was a Apex course. And then after that, we didn't have many art of living teachers in New Zealand at that time. We only had one silence course teacher, and he only ran courses every kind of 6 months or so. And so I actually had to wait 6 months to experience the first silence program. And there weren't even enough volunteers to organize it. So I ended up organizing it. So I organized this program I'd never been on before, and then I handed it over to one of the other teachers to coordinate while I was on the program. And during the first session of the hollow and empty meditations, that's when I knew I want to teach this. This is something I want to do. And yeah, the happiness program was the first step towards that. So it was actually on my first silence course that I decided
Yeah.
that.
Amazing, amazing. And you know how you mentioned you have had a chat with me also that you have done several courses. So what was different? Why did it ended here? Why did it ended up Art of
What
Living
was different
Happiness
about the
course?
Art
What
of
was
Living
different?
courses?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so just for clarity, it didn't actually end with my first happiness program. I did my first happiness program, and then I still kept investing in lots and lots of different courses and workshops and coaching, even after my first happiness program for quite a few years. And the we'll get a little bit more into why that is shortly, but the thing that's different about the Art of Living courses that I actually came to realize closer to the time I did my teacher training is that the Art of Living courses give us a tool that connects us with our infinite nature. And that tool is not something we can ever lose. It's something that we walk around with every second of every day. It's called our breath. And so this the content of the courses, including the Sudarshan Kriya and the other breathing techniques taught on the courses, that content it can just be with you all the time. You never need anything outside of that. Mhm. And through, more and more courses, it showed me actually that the happiness program, all of the content in the happiness program, that's all that we need. It's just not that easy to implement. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And in terms of the TTP, the teacher training program, I know you had a beautiful experience. That was quite life-changing in itself, right? Apart from the happiness program, that was a big transformation, like you shared with me. Tell us your experience about going to the ashram, how the visit of the ashram actually transformed a lot of things for you and a lot of awareness also, right? Your first visit to the ashram, is that correct, Oliver?
Yeah, so there's a couple of questions there. I'll just mention my first visit to the ashram because my
Yes,
TTP
please.
training was actually my second visit to the ashram. So the the journey with Art of Living has had many ups and downs. It's had at times a lot of commitment from myself and a lot of conviction that, this is the right thing that I want to be doing with my life, and this is the right practice for me to be practicing in the morning. And there have been other times of huge doubt. And even though those doubts were there, I still continued with the practice and still kept coming to satsangs. And those doubts were dealt with. But there were some doubts that were just too big. And there was a period of my life just before teacher training, actually, for about 2 months in early 2024, where everything came to the surface. It was like a tsunami of doubt came up in my mind. And it just brought up all of those questions that I had been sort of resisting or maybe not able to fully answer myself about that I needed to acknowledge before becoming a teacher. And because becoming a teacher is not something that you can, I become a teacher and then maybe I still, doubt whether I should be teaching this course or I doubt whether this is right for me. If you want to be a teacher, you need to have conviction that this is something that, is really going to serve not only yourself, but everyone who you teach. And so that bubbled to the surface early in 2024 while I was traveling or slightly before that. And I stopped doing Sudarshan Kriya for about 2 months. And, a combination of travel, of, eating different food and not doing Kriya, my energy that had been quite high went boom, and it really crashed. And I wasn't happy at all. I'd saved up for 6 months or so for this big trip that I was on, and I wasn't enjoying myself at all. And I just so happened to get a call from one of the New Zealand teachers who was at the ashram in Bangalore. I was up in Rishikesh. It was my first time in India. And I wasn't very happy. I was just starting to get sick as well. And he said, "Oh, why are you not coming to the ashram? It's Shivratri very soon. You should be coming to the ashram." And I said, I'm not really interested in this art of living stuff right now. I've sort of quit. I'm done with that. I give it a lot of thought and I'm not interested. And he wanted to know why. And so I shared with him the story of why. And back and forward, he asked I answered many of his questions. He asked many questions. And it got to the point in the conversation where he said, you just need to come and experience the ashram for yourself in its true form. You've experienced a lot of other people within the organization, but you haven't experienced the master and you haven't experienced the ashram yet. And so that was his invitation. And so I thought, right, I'll give this art of living thing one last go. And so I actually quit. I was on a yoga teacher training that I was about to start the next day, and I actually canned that and flew down to Bangalore. And quite luckily, some teachers pulled some strings in New Zealand, and I was able to do some seva at the ashram over Shivratri and for the time after that. And it was that 7 or 8 weeks that I was doing seva that I met some incredible people. I met people who they knew this art of living knowledge, which is universal knowledge. It doesn't matter whether you are following the art of living or not. This knowledge still applies. The knowledge from the courses, you might know how to implement it better if you've done a course, but whether you've done a course or not, that knowledge it still applies in life. And these were people who had access to that. They had done the course. They had done silence programs. They've done, a lot of this. Some of them have been volunteers or members of Art of Living for years. And it was incredible being part of that community that we all understood how to keep our mind clean. Yeah. And I started doing the Kriya again. I gave it another shot because I hadn't been very happy. And by the time I left after that 7 weeks at the ashram, I didn't do any courses. I just did my practices and I did seva. 7 days per week, no rests. And I left at the end of that. I was in a taxi and I had this big smile on my face. And I thought, there's no reason for there to be a smile on my face, but there just is. And so I thought, you know what? I'm gonna stick with this for a while. And so much had come up in that 7 weeks. Every one of those doubts. I'd been on the phone to some of my other teachers, the person who introduced me to Art of Living, some of the teachers at home. I'd had some very good conversations with people from the ashram. And, all of my doubts really came from a space of a lot of it came from self-doubt. And a lot of it came from actually just being scared to jump in the deep end as well. So yeah, there were a few things, a lot of kind of misunderstanding of some quite advanced knowledge as well that I needed to speak one on one with some people who really understood it to grasp. And it just what that taught me that time was that this journey, this art of living journey, is so personal. Every single person goes through a different, a different story. They have different challenges. They have different wins and different challenges. So yeah, that's why when we're at the ashram, we meet so many incredible people. It's just people who have access to this knowledge. They live so fully. And yeah, so I decided then and there that I would give this another go and commit to it. And then a invitation for the teacher training, which I'd been thinking about and actually already done all the prep for, that came through a few months later, and I thought, yep, I'll do this. This is a knowledge that the world should have. So yeah, that's how that came about. And then you asked about my teacher training. So the second thing was my teacher
Yeah,
training. I can't
yeah.
share much. So,
That's okay. Of
as with
course,
any art of living,
keep it a mystery for me also because I soon would experience it, hopefully this year. But just the impact and the
yeah,
grooming you got, just a little bit of highlights, not what goes into it, but what difference it
absolutely.
made. Yeah.
So what I would say is that what I got out of the teacher training was that the teacher training showed me how to implement the happiness program to the deepest possible level so that we don't have any basically so we don't have any doubt about any of these knowledge points. They are so solid, they are so filled with wisdom. And the teacher training program just really just like gets a magnifying glass on every single one of those knowledge points from the happiness program and says, see, it's perfect just the way it is. You don't need anything else. And after looking at the knowledge points through that magnifying glass, it just gave me such conviction and clarity that this course, which for someone who's invested thousands and thousands of dollars into personal development and trying to get to the
Yeah.
next thing, the next stage of growth, the next, why would I want any of that? It gives us happiness, right? I think that I can get better at finances and that's going to make me happy, or I think I could get better at relationships and that's going to make me happy. But actually, if we just go to the root cause of it, the root source of what are we actually looking for, it's that lasting, infinite, unconditional happiness. And that's why it's called the happiness program. Yeah. So
Amazing.
after looking at it through the magnifying glass there and seeing how these points, this 300, well, in New Zealand, that the cost of the course is just $350. And for someone who's spent so much money looking for that in other places, for me, it was just like, wow, I can't believe I missed it. I was doing the practice, but I
Amazing.
didn't understand that I'd come across something so valuable all those years ago.
Amazing. And it's just going back to, how like you haven't experienced the master, one of the teacher, thanks to that teacher who called you and who convinced you to visit the ashram because that made the change, right? That was the turning point for coming back and giving it one more shot before you completely say goodbye. So it was almost like Master is calling you. Master
Yeah.
was like, yeah, go through life a little bit more so you can understand the value of what was given to you in the happiness program. And yeah, the Master called you. And by the way, Oliver, did you meet Gurudev at the ashram or when your TTP happened? Or the first time you met was when Gurudev visited New Zealand in 2024? When did you meet him? And tell me
I
your
actually
experience
met Gurudev a
also.
few
How was
days
it?
after I came to the ashram the first time.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, so
really?
the first time I was at the ashram, I was only there for 2 or 3 days, and there was an opportunity to meet him in a darshan line of about
Blessed.
3,000 people. And
Wow.
this was when I still had a lot of doubts. I didn't know if I was in the right place at all. And here I am in front of Gurudev. And he
Wow.
walks along the line, and Paul that I was with says, Gurudev, this is Oliver from New Zealand. And Gurudev goes, oh
Oh,
wow. And he just threw some flowers on me. And like this guy needs a blessing. And he threw some flowers on me, and then he kept walking. And in my mind, I thought, yeah, because I was very much in this space of doubt about the whole organization, about Gurudev, about whether I was in the right place. He gave me some blessing, and then he kept walking. And I just, in my mind, at the level of my intellect, I just thought, well, that wasn't very special. I thought this would be some big, profound moment after waiting for 7 years to meet the master. And, that was my initial thought. And a few seconds later, I saw him walking along the line. And I thought back, this thought came to my mind about all of the different courses that I've done. And specifically, I'm grateful my mum is here with us, because specifically I thought about the transformation that has occurred in our relationship because of the courses that I've done. And,
Amazing.
after that thought came up, then I just had tears and tears of gratitude for probably 20 minutes or so after that. And so that
Wow.
was actually quite a
Wow.
pivotal moment for me in my journey, realizing how much value I had gotten from art of living. Mm.
Amazing.
So that was the
But
first time I met him.
amazing. That's so good. I love that. This is Oliver from New Zealand and blessings. This guy needs it. So cute. Such a cute moment. Now, talking about Murray, so I would like to say hello to Murray as well and introduce. Murray is Oliver's mum. Hello, Murray. Yes,
Hi.
please unmute. Yeah, hello. So I have had the privilege to meet and spend some time with Murray also at one of the silence courses. And I tell you, Oliver and Murray, they make such a beautiful mom and son bond. Like the pair is amazing. You guys rock it. I love it at all the courses. Now, if you don't mind, can you please share how has how has life been, family life been after Oliver taking Art of Living seriously, implementing the knowledge, all the courses? Yeah, tell us a little bit about how your bond has improved or whatever changes has happened. Yeah, if you can
All right.
share. Yeah.
I need time to think about that. I hadn't planned on talking. Um,
Oh no.
yeah, Oliver and I've just got closer and closer, and yeah, I'm not involved with the art of living to anywhere near the extent that Oliver is, but we share a lot of art of living things and courses, obviously. Um, yeah, I just think that as far as Oliver and I are concerned, it's just brought us closer. I guess we have more
Hmm.
understanding of relationships and happiness, and yeah, just not expecting. When you don't expect something from somebody, you usually get more. And I think
For
that's
sure.
I think that's where Oliver and I that's where the art of living has helped Oliver and I.
So beautiful. Very beautiful. Actually, I was listening to Gurudev's talk yesterday, and he said that about relationships. It was actually one of the Instagram knowledge points that, in any relationship, when you stop expecting, that's where it starts blooming. So it is very profound what you said. But yeah, I
Yeah,
can see you are a proud mom anytime Oliver is around you. Yeah, I just
definitely.
love seeing your bond, and now he's a teacher also. So yeah, I'm sure you're proud and yeah, really happy to
I
see your
think
son blooming.
since he's become a teacher, he seems to have how would you put it? This is quite a um, like he just seems to have upped himself a level, and um, he seems that much happier, that much more like he's got a project on at the moment, and he's really involved in it, and like he's giving everything he does a lot more since he's become a teacher. I think. Would that be right, Ollie?
Amazing. Yeah.
That's really interesting that you've made that observation, because that's not an observation that I've made personally, but hearing you say that definitely rings true. So I think one thing that's very interesting is, like I mentioned about the teacher training helping me to implement the happiness program more, and also what you shared about relationships is the less that we expect and the less that we need, the more we can find that happiness within us. Actually, it's such a paradox that, when we don't need so much and we don't look for so much all the time, we want all the time, then, everything just starts blossoming in life. It's actually that attachment and that desire, that intense uh, craving that drives all of that away. So, it's interesting to observe that, to hear that you've observed that, one, that I'm happier, and two, that I'm, putting myself more into things, even
Yeah.
though, I probably have a lot less attachment to those things than I have in the past.
And yet you're still
Amazing.
putting
I
so much
relate to that
energy into them.
attachment. Yeah. He's more energetic. Sorry, Murray. I didn't know you were
So
speaking.
I just
Sorry.
think the things that he does, the projects that he does, he has so much more enthusiasm and energy for them.
Hmm. That's great. I think
I'd love to
perhaps
share another
although,
thing just about
sure.
mum and I, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course, Oliver. Yeah.
Yeah, so
What are you
so
going to
uh,
share?
when I mum and I have done a lot of courses together, as I've said before, and I've been to India 3 times now. Three times I've been to the ashram
Okay.
and met Gurudev quite a few times now. And one of the most incredible moments was, actually, I'd met Gurudev probably 3 or 4 times, and I had just done my teacher training, and he saw me over there, and we interacted very briefly at my teacher training. And then about 6 weeks later, he came to New Zealand, and again, I spoke with him in Cornwall Park when we were doing a small, walk with him. And then later that night, we had a satsang, and Mum had actually bought me tickets to that satsang for my birthday. And I had already just met Gurudev and spent some time with him. I just become a teacher. I was feeling so full. My life was just, overflowing. And I thought, I don't need to see Gurudev anymore. I've seen him, I've met him. Other people can see him. That's fine. I'm just happy to just be at the satsang. And, we went into the satsang, and we thought that we would be sitting about 5 or 6 rows back. But the first 4 rows weren't there. They were blocked out on the map, but they weren't actually seats. And so we were actually in the second row from the front. And I was really happy about that. And I really wanted, I thought, if anyone could meet Gurudev, it would be amazing if Mum could meet him. And so, I sat Mum right on the aisle in case he walked past. And you can see the image from the talk today is actually Gurudev meeting Mum and I. So during the satsang, he was giving darshan, he was walking around, and he just came right up to us and just, opened his arms like this. And then he gave Mum a beautiful bunch of flowers, and we took a selfie with him. And then he turned to me and he said, "You're doing very well." So, it was such a nice, it was
He
so
said to
nice.
me,
And I wasn't asking for that at all.
It was a
"You've got a
beautiful
very good
moment.
son."
Oh, did he? Oh my
Yeah.
God. That's so amazing. I still remember that moment and
Oh,
how you were
so do I.
admiring that moment. Yeah. And he also put a garland on you, right? Garland or shawl? I can't remember exactly. Was it a shawl, Murray? A garland or shawl?
No, it was
Gurudev
just
gave you something?
That was
Maybe.
that was someone else. That was Bindi's dad. He was in front
Right,
of
right,
us.
right. Sorry, I misunderstood there,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
But
No, it
yeah,
was
that moment was beautiful. That moment, yeah, I remember when you shared with me at the course, because we did the silence course right after Gurudev left.
yes.
And yeah, it was a wonderful moment. You're very blessed to have this son
I
and
felt really
also
blessed because
meeting
I
Gurudev.
wasn't really expecting. Well, I knew that we had booked aisle seats, but even still, I wasn't expecting him to stop at us. And
Mm,
because as Ollie had said, he'd seen plenty of Gurudev, um, and he just saw us from in the front row, and he just walked. He knew where he was going. He walked straight to us. Whoa, it was amazing.
yeah, it was Oliver's request.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Oliver's request, heart to heart connection to Gurudev, his master.
Mm,
So yeah, it came
yeah,
true. Gurudev knows everything, right? So no, amazing. Thank you so much, Marie. Sorry I caught you off guard and you had to
that's
speak.
okay.
But thank you. Lovely listening from you. Thank you. Thanks.
I'll sign that.
Yeah, sure thing. All right. Coming back to Oliver, yeah, you've got such a sweet mom, Oliver. Really sweet mom and beautiful bond. Touch wood. Yeah, touch wood. Now, Oliver, tell us a little bit about life after TTP. What changes happen? How has been your experience teaching the courses? Because that would be few stories in itself, right? You will be doing the work from the other side of the you know what I mean? Like other side of the story where you were trying before you were trying to get those guidances and all those other things. Someone was mentoring you, and now it's your turn. So yeah, tell us about that. Some yeah, some experiences from
Yeah,
the
it
courses.
really it feels like before the teacher training, it felt like I was looking in from outside a little bit. I'd done the courses, I understood what the knowledge points were, but to a degree, I maybe I wasn't completely committed to embodying those knowledge points, and the teacher training showed me how important they are. So, yeah, I was just able to come back to New Zealand with so much conviction in that and practice it to a far deeper level. And so that's basically what life has been like since teacher training. And similarly, the challenges in life have really changed significantly. Like the challenges before teacher training, when I got a challenge, I knew the knowledge points applied, but because maybe I didn't put so much importance behind those knowledge points, it still felt like sometimes the world was ending. It still felt some like my life is ending. My life, it's things are so important, and what I want isn't happening. So therefore, I really lost my center a lot. But since the teacher training, anything can happen. And it doesn't phase me. There's not much that really phases me these days. I might have a shaky couple of days or anything or something, but I know, the thing is when we die, we can't take anything with us. And, I see that so clearly
Okay.
now. So who cares? So what? And so, yeah,
Yeah.
teaching courses, I've run a few courses. I've definitely found it a little easier to get people on courses uh, now that I'm a teacher because, well, maybe it's just because I've living that knowledge a little more. Maybe it's because now I'm actually able to teach people instead of sending them to another course. But one thing I have found quite challenging is I've moved to a new town where when I moved here, there wasn't any teachers. Now we have one other teacher. And so we're really building the community here. We don't have an established art of living community here, and that's really up to us two teachers to lead. So at the moment, anyway. So yeah, it's been
Is it
for me one
Pranch?
of the challenges. It is, yeah. Pranch is the other
Sorry, I
teacher, yeah.
interrupted. Sorry, I interrupted you. I just got a bit excited. But yeah, Pranch, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's really we work as a great team. But one thing that I'm navigating at the moment is since becoming a teacher, I feel like I'm putting a lot of pressure on myself to to build up this community. And I actually told Gurudev that I was moving down here to teach a happiness program down here. So I made a commitment, I made a promise there to Gurudev. So, I've been navigating that and balancing, having my own life, having my own time, but also, building this movement, building this knowledge and this wisdom and Sattva energy up down here in the community has presented many of its own challenges. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
now
good.
they're not challenges that seem very, very difficult and they're not heavy challenges. Like the challenges in life before were very heavy. Now it's like, oh my goodness, how are we going to manage that? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? It's not like, oh my goodness, my life is not going the way I want, like
Yeah.
it's not that anymore. Mm.
Yeah. No, so it is solution oriented challenges. It's just the
Absolutely.
mindset. It's the change in your mindset, how you perceive things. Because sometimes, you know what, Oliver, this is my personal experience. Maybe the maybe the challenges are similar, but it doesn't hold that much weight anymore because we've lived the knowledge and we just handle it differently. Do you know? I mean, I have had similar experiences. I don't know about you, but yeah, the same thing would have happened at my workplace. I would have reacted differently, but now it doesn't really affect me in that capacity. Like you say, a couple of days. So sometimes it would be a couple of hours instead of being upset for a week or something, you know? So yeah, it is definitely amazing, the knowledge, if you live, definitely. And Oliver, can you please share
Absolutely.
some,
Absolutely.
isn't it? Can you share some guru stories, please? Time for guru stories. Any graceful stories you have for us?
Yeah, well, I already
We love
shared
to.
probably the most yeah, the most amazing story was when, when Gurudev met myself and my mum. But, there's something about being around the master where it's not just about the interaction that you have with the master. It's about a connection to the divine that flourishes whenever you're around the presence of the master. And, I have a couple of examples. One is when Gurudev met Mum and I, that happened because I didn't want, that was not for me, that was a very pure intention for, I want another human being to experience Gurudev's wisdom. And, there was no I want from that. And so I think, Gurudev, he just lives on the subtle level. And people can. I've had this experience as well where my mind wants to ask Gurudev a question, but my heart is not really in it, and he just ignores you. So, if your heart is truly in it, he doesn't ignore you. He acknowledges that. And here's an interesting story. So I went over for the Sanyam 2 course at Navratri last year, and Gurudev was leading it. And so yeah, we had I mean, it was just so fun, being led by the master and being taught by the master and experiencing what he's like, even when he's not teaching. He's teaching when he's not teaching as well. And yeah, at one point, we were doing some yoga, gentle stretches, and Gurudev was leading this yoga, doing some rotations with the body and all this stuff. And he stood up. There's 4,000 people in the venue, right? He stood up and everyone got excited because they thought, oh, Gurudev's going to give darshan. He's going to come and walk around in the crowd. We might get to see him. And so he gets up, he stands up, he says, shake your hands. And he starts shaking his hands and, walking around. And he comes off the stage and walks around the back of the stage where you walk if you're going to come to the crowd. And then he starts walking towards the door and he's still shaking his hands, doing yoga. And he's shake like this. And then he just turns around and he just walks out the door. And the last thing we saw of him was he hit his back and he's just, disappearing off down the road dancing. And, this is what's amazing. We're not with some very strict, very serious master that can't have fun. It's just always so much fun around Gurudev. So another thing that happened during that time is I felt like I really wanted to, you know, to wear something when I was over there to really remind myself of my commitment to this knowledge. And I'm not wearing it now because I just got out of the shower. It's over there. But uh, Gurudev gave me, it came through that grace of the master. I'll get it one sec.
Yes, please. Yeah.
No, I was at the end of the Sanyam course. He said, he's at the end of the Sanyam course, I thought to myself, it would be so nice to leave this course with something, with a token that I've been here and I can just wear this. And it can remind me about this beautiful course and the wisdom and the connection that I have to the divine, to the master. And anyway, I didn't think too much about it. I just put that intention out there. And then after the course, the next day, I was going to go to the city with a friend. And she said, we'll meet at 3:30 or something like this. And she kept, 4 o'clock. Oh, 4:15. She kept postponing it. And I thought, this is unlike her. She's taking so long. Why did I even ask her to come? And she said, I'm just writing a letter now. I'll drop it at this, secretariat office, and then I'll come. And so she said, I'm done writing the letter. I'll just go there and then I'll come see you. So I thought, okay, 10 minutes, that'll be fine. And then about 20 minutes later, she finally messages me. She says, okay, meet me by the kitchen. And she behind her back and she says, right or left? And I was like, right. And so she says, actually, you get both. And so she had a packet of prasad in one hand, which was from Gurudev, from the secretariat. The things that get given up there is blessed by the master. And so I had some prasad there, and then also there was a little bag that she had put her hand into this bag that she was given when she was up there. She didn't plan on being given anything. She just went to offer her letter, and they gave her a bag of stuff, which mostly she took back to Russia, but she felt like there was something in there for me. So she put her hand in and she got this prasad, and she got one more thing. She got a little envelope that had it had in it a few things. Some was the ashes from the Navratri homas, and it also had this.
Oh my
And
God,
I
the
just thought to
Rudraksh you
myself, this is
got.
incredible.
Oh,
I I wanted something from the course or from, that I could wear to remind myself about the
my
master.
God.
And here, from Rudraksh that is
Wow.
literally blessed by the master has made its way to me
Wow.
via my friend. And I said, and I felt goosebumps when she handed me this and I saw this. And I said, did you mean to give this to me? Like, are you sure this isn't meant for you? And she said, I put my hand in the bag and I pulled out the prasad, and then I was going to give that to you. And then I thought, no, there's something else in there. And I put my hand back in the bag and I grabbed this other thing. She didn't know what it was. It was in a envelope. And she thought, yeah, these two things, these are for him. And so, yeah, this was
Wow.
in that. So I really felt like,
Amazing.
Gurudev doesn't have access to give everyone something all the time or to give his answers or to, spend one-on-one time with us all the time. But that grace of the master, that grace of the divine is always around. And, it really
Yeah.
depends on our connection to the divine, whether or not we notice it. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. I'm amazed to listen to this story. I mean, you are very blessed, Oliver. Whatever you ask or desire, it just gets served to you on a silver plate, isn't it? It's so wonderful. I love the Rudraksh. So do you wear it every day, religiously?
I don't wear it every day, only because it's quite big. And if I hug people or I have a physical job, I'm a physiotherapist. So if I'm working on people, it sits
Yeah.
here and it can dig
Oh,
into
for
them. So I
sure.
don't wear it every day, but I just keep it by my bed and wear
So
it,
good.
sometimes for satsangs and yeah.
Oh, that's so good. I love it. And I'm sure it suits on you too. You should show us actually, if you don't mind, how it looks. It's Gurudev's present.
I nearly put it on before
Yeah.
actually, but I forgot.
Oh, wow. It looks really good on you for sure. For
Yeah, there we are.
sure.
I usually
Amazing.
tie it in here. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Very blessed. Now
this
you just
knowledge that
mentioned about your
our
profession.
we get what we want. This knowledge that we get what we want. I got
Yes, it's
told
an
from one of the
intention.
teachers that knowledge that came from Gurudev that, we get what we want as long as it's good for us.
So good. Whatever is good for us will be given to us, right? As long as we have got it's the sankalpa. It's a game
Mm.
of sankalpa, right? Sometimes we think it's impossible, but it does happen. How? Gurudev knows. So no, you are very blessed, Oliver. So just coming back to your profession, you said you're a physiotherapist. Um, how life has changed in your profession, in your work with, I don't know, the workload, with the patients? What has changed after um, Art of Living or after you have been following it religiously?
Well, it's difficult to say because I did my first course when I was studying. But
Okay,
definitely I would say that Kriya and Sahaj Samadhi definitely helped me with study. I
for
did
sure.
very, very, very little study and, managed to retain that knowledge really well. So that definitely helped. And the second thing is, I just don't think that I would at all be doing this type of work if it wasn't for the Kriya, because the Kriya helps to keep me centered. And I'm very sensitive when it comes to other people's energy. And so, I feel a lot of physios end up getting emotional fatigue and burnout and they leave. They just don't stay in the profession for very long. And that 100% would have been me if I didn't have the Kriya. Yeah, it just protects me.
It's a shield, isn't it? It's definitely a shield, I would say. Um, yeah, and Oliver, other thing is that
Absolutely.
um, in terms of your practice, right? Like when you kind of took a break or pause and then you started getting back onto it, especially with life in a foreign country. When I say that, because our viewers are quite a bit in India, hence I'm saying New Zealand is a foreign country. We see when we move abroad, it's a big shift in our pace of life, right? The day is much different. So over here, things are very like, yeah, it's very full on. It's very busy. So it can get quite hard to maintain doing the Kriya regularly. So how do you manage it? And do you have any tips on how we can keep being consistent and experience that miracle? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just waiting for an aeroplane to go over.
That's okay. No, I
How
thought
do
there was a
I
lag. Yeah.
the how I can keep the consistency is just decide to do it. Like the only time that we're ever not committed to doing something is when we're not committed, right? When we don't do it, or when we find something as a struggle, generally there's a belief there that we don't need it or that it's not important or something like that. So my advice would be, actually I have a couple of questions. Questions are more powerful than telling people. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say, what is it about the Kriya that makes you want to implement that practice daily? Right? So what is it about the practice that you see value in doing it every day? Or it helps me with my emotions or whatever, right? And the next question is, what am I committed to? Who am I committed to being? Am I committed to being a great father and a great husband? Am I committed to being a wonderful art of living teacher? Am I committed to being I don't know, a great at my work? Create an identity based commitment. I am committed to being the most incredible physiotherapist that ever existed, or I'm committed to running a business, whatever it is, right? If you are committed to being an entrepreneur and you know that the Kriya is going to get you there, then why would you not be committed to the Kriya? And it just takes remembering this every morning. There's a reason why I have commitments, and who am I committed to being? And, if I choose not to do the Kriya, then basically what that means in the morning, if I'm choosing not to do the Kriya, then I'm choosing not to be that person. I'm choosing not to be a great father, or I'm choosing not to be a great husband, not the best that I could be. Anyway, if the Kriya is what you feel is the way of getting you there. Yeah. So, get in touch with what you're committed to.
Amazing. And lastly, unless you have any other guru stories to share, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I had one more question.
No, that's okay. You go.
No? All good. Um, so
I would
like
just say I would just say one thing. Sorry to interrupt. I just say one
no,
thing. It's
that's
not
all
a
good.
guru story, but it is in itself a guru story a little bit. I started doing Saver to so that I could do a silence course. And when the same thing happened when I did my DSN as well. We didn't have anyone to organize it, and I wanted to do DSN, and we needed people on it. So I was on the phones calling, me and Daniel, another teacher, were calling people,
Yes.
getting them enrolled for the DSN. And it took we 2 weeks out from that course, we only had 5 enrollments, and we ended up having over 20 people do that course in the last 2 weeks. And same with the silence course I organized. The amount that you volunteer, the amount that you put into this, anyone who's ever done a course would understand how grateful they are to the volunteers that they would not be able to do that course if those volunteers didn't put their time and effort and energy in. So, so much gratitude comes to you for having done that saver. That's not why we do it, but I feel so grateful that I've been able to be a part of other people's journey. So I would say, whatever's stopping you from volunteering, just jump in the deep end and do some volunteering. It's the most rewarding thing you can do. Yeah. And you get so much out of it. Actually, these 5 knowledge points, if you want to get good at them and practice them, the best way to practice them is by doing Saver. The Saver will give you infinite ways of applying those 5 knowledge points. So, yeah, it's not a guru story, but I feel there's just as much value in that. If you want to amplify this path and feel more of that divine grace, that guru grace, do some Seva.
Amazing. That's beautiful. No, I agree. The amount, I mean, anytime I'm in a course, experiencing the course, when I see the volunteers, bringing food and lots of other things, I genuinely feel so much gratitude. And I just, inside my heart, I keep saying thanks to them because they didn't have to. They chose to give it out of their personal time. And, they've put so much love in that food and what every other thing they do for us. So I agree, 100%, 100%. Now, what I wanted to ask you, Oliver, is that you had you had some reason why you hesitated and why there was a wee pause in between, even though you had experienced the fruit. I'm just calling happiness codes a fruit, the sweet. So what message you would like to give to other people who maybe have seen an art of living video or may have experienced their friends or family doing it and they are on the verge of it. They're like, let's experience it, but they have some hesitation in them. Or maybe someone like you, where they have done one, and maybe due to some reasons, the experience wasn't that profound. So, yeah, just a little wee message or advice that do not stop. There's so much more to experience, and there are lots of miracles to experience if they keep exploring it further, and actually implementing in their life also. Because it's a monkey mind. We will always have doubts and second guesses and lots of thoughts. So, yeah, any message?
Yeah, so couple of messages. First message is if it's the money that's stopping you from investing in this course, a small amount of money for getting everything. This course will open up everything for you. This course is everything that you will need if you sincerely implement the knowledge. So that's the first thing. Don't make it about the money. Second thing is that, everyone in Art of Living is not told you have to do this, you have to do that. I think a lot of people don't necessarily come to the course because they feel there's some sense of obligation. If I go to this course that my dad wants me to do or that my mum wants me to do, then there's an obligation to do these practices and come to satsang and do all this stuff. There's no expectation from Art of Living to do any of this stuff. And I've had that same reservation myself. I said I don't want to go to satsang every week. I don't like it there. I I don't want to do long kriya every week. I just like doing the practice at home. And so, although it is advised, this will help you the most. If you don't want to do it, you just pick the thing that you like. Pick the part of art of living that you like and do that. And sooner or later, what my experience is that you find that all of those different things are actually serving you in some way. The satsangs are serving you, the seva is serving you, the long Kriya weekly is serving you. But, if it feels like you don't want to do it, then you don't do it. There's no pressure, there's no rules. And that's what I love about this path is that there's not a single thing that I have been told you have to do this. Okay, so don't feel as though there's any obligation. You just do the course, and if you enjoy it and if you find benefit, then you do those things that you get benefit from. And I would say that it does take some time for the full benefits of the practices to blossom. You'll feel amazing after the course, but you do those 40 days. Even better, you just do what I did and you just say, I'm going to do this practice and give it a full opportunity, and I'm just going to do it every single day until I feel like it's not serving me at all. And so that's, I went about 5 or 6 years without missing a single day of Kriya. The only reason I stopped was because I actually got sick. That's what broke that. But I just had this commitment. I'm just going to do it every single day. Yeah. And the third thing that I think really stops people from coming along to this course is the idea that, if I come to this course, then I'm somewhat, obliged to follow this master. I'm a follower. I'm not a leader anymore. Uh, I don't want an Indian master. This is a lot of
Yes, yeah.
the reservation, especially here in the West. And again, I would emphasize that point. Nobody tells you have to do anything. The master is sharing knowledge, you know, and you can take what he shares and you can apply it or you can ignore it. You don't have to listen. But there's a lot of people doing this stuff. It's a humongous movement. I think near 5% or maybe even over 5% of the world has done the happiness program now. It's a huge number.
Wow.
So surely there's some
It's
value in,
amazing.
so come along and try it. And, I personally, I just follow the practices and I follow the knowledge and I have a huge amount of gratitude for the master. That just sums it up for me. Yeah.
Same. I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I actually agree with that. It's not that complicated or rigid like it may appear. It's very simple. Gurudev has made it very simple for all of us. So yeah, break those barriers and just experience once the sky meditation, the Sudarshan Kriya, and you'll see the benefits of it. But thank you so much, Oliver, for joining with us today. It was a pleasure to have you. And also your lovely mother, Marie. Thanks so much for coming along and speaking also. Yeah, thanks so much. But yeah, I will see you sometime in the course. But thanks to the audience also for joining and listening to Oliver's beautiful story. Thank you. Jai Gurudev. Jai
Thank
Gurudev.
you.
Thanks, Karina.
Jai
Jai
Gurudev.
Gurudev.
Bye. Bye.